29 years into it, and we're doing this. I've told it to people around me.
Yeah.
But for people to hear it now, I'll give you the backstory.
Come on. Yeah. All right, one more time. Come on. Otherwise... The actor that played the mob leader in the Mortal Mondays commercial, his name is Kyle Wyatt. I have so many more questions for him. He's busy right now and we have to get this video out. Probably gonna do a dedicated video later with him. I do have plans on following up with Kyle Wyatt. That was planned for before the pandemic happened, but that is yet to be scheduled.
Okay. Computer. See if Kyle Wyatt is available.
Mr. Kyle Wyatt, how are you doing?
Couldn't be better, man. I woke up on the right side of the dirt today.
That's great to hear. Thank you so much for joining me.
Pleasure being here.
I grew up with Mortal Kombat and your voice. We were doing this video when MK11 was coming out. I don't even know how long I spent online looking for information about like your portion. And I think several pages deep into a Google search, somehow like your SAG credits on a PDF was indexed.
Yeah, you emailed me right out of the blue, and I was like, oh my gosh, it was probably one of my first gigs when I moved to New York, and I didn't really think anything of it. I've done things in the past where you go in and do something and it's just on the shelf or, edited out. Looking back now, 29 years later, to see the iconic build around Mortal Kombat is just amazing.
Okay, so you're early 20s.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Done with college.
Did you want to be an actor, or were you heading out there for something else, or?
I've always wanted to perform. Making people smile and making people laugh, genuinely laugh, is what energizes my soul. I have pursued that all my life. Acting in every play, being in choir, being in band. I was in theater. Acting has always been my outlet. When I did comedy in New York, my stand-up killed the entire audience, which was a blessing.
So, did you have an agent, or how'd you get the call for this gig?
Oh yeah, I had an agent. I'll give you the backstory. If you know who David Wesley is, professional basketball player, his brother, Donald, we all grew up together in Longview. And you already know that Matthew McConaughey and I grew up together.
Oh, I didn't know that. I'm learning that now.
Oh, you didn't know that?
No, should I just assume everybody in Texas knows each other?
We grew up together. I think somebody one day is going to do 6 Degrees of Kyle Wyatt. So his brother, Donald Wesley, he and I just decided to move to New York. We just wanted to pursue our acting career. I was an educator, taught 3rd grade. I got rid of the job. I was living in a condo in Longview, and I told everybody, I said, come and grab everything that you want. I packed the bags that I could carry on the plane. I mean, I left everything. Lived on a subway for 3 days before I found a place to live. Got an agent. That's taken a bite out of the apple. I think one of my first gigs was a commercial for Arista Records. It was for Whitney Houston. She was being introduced at that time. This agent, she booked me this gig, and we showed up downtown Wall Street. Golly, there was tons of people running everywhere. They had this crane with the camera that did most of the pin shotting. Then they did B-roll of everybody. That was my first step. Hey, look, 29 years later, a game changer. There were tons of extras that day. They were getting $50 for that whole deal.
How'd you get picked out of the crowd, or did you know before going in that you were going to be the mob leader?
I did not know. We were all out placed, in this shot, and we were all saying, Mortal Kombat. Everybody was supposed to yell up toward the camera. The director pulled me aside and said, hey, I want you to stand over there. He ended up saying, no, I want you, after everybody runs out, I want you to find your way through the crowd, and then we'll kind of separate you and then yell Mortal Kombat. I gave it my all, and that is history.
So they took your audio from the shot?
Oh yeah.
Do you know if that's the sample they use like later on in the commercial when it was like deeper?
It is.
Do you know if that's the same one in the song?
It is.
Oh, wow. That's what I got from my correspondence, but I just want to have it on camera. What you think it is, it is. Anybody watching?
It is.
People in the comments that had all kinds of other theories. I rarely get starstruck, but like, I knew your voice from when I was way too young to be playing Mortal Kombat. But it's cool. Like man, I'm like at a loss for words.
Having you say, I knew your voice, even when you were a kid.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that humbles me.
You're ordained pastor. So is my brother. You have a slogan.
Never stop bragging on God.
How do you reconcile the nature of like the Mortal Kombat culture and religion? For me, it doesn't seem like, especially now that I'm older, it doesn't seem like it would conflict at all, you know? Like, do you ever get that brought up, being in the ministry and also kind of like, well, not just kind of being the voice to the
Not
game
at all,
that created?
man. Let me tell you something. It's part of my testimony.
Would you like to share any of that testimony then?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
You mentioned on the phone, it was a little bit of a wild story.
I grew up in a Christian home. My dad was a pastor. My dad was military. It was a tough life, tough love. So we were very limited in what we could do and whatever. Religion was shoved down my throat so hard that all I could do was show up and regurgitate it. I was the black sheep of the family. I ran away. I moved to New York. I separated myself from my family. I didn't want the condemnation. I didn't want the phone calls. How's your spiritual life? Have you talked to God lately? I had totally run. Got to New York, started doing all these gigs, started doing these commercials and voiceovers, character acting and cartoons. Got involved in the drug scene. Now, we can talk off camera about who got me into the drug scene.
We won't call anybody out right now.
Heavily addicted to cocaine. My life just started spiraling. But I always remembered that verse, train up a child in the way that he should go. And when he becomes a man, he will not depart from it. That always stayed strong with me. And I think that's what kept me going. And I think that's what kept me alive. I just said, I have to leave New York.
So how long were you in New York then?
6.5 years. I got back into church. My dad never stopped believing in me. My mom was always, it was my mom's prayers and her cries that brought me back from New York. I don't know whether I told you, Rod, December of last year, I felt like I was getting the flu. They diagnosed me with influenza A. Started getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. I was sweating, fever. Went into the hospital. They threw me on a gurney, ripped open my shirt, put in a main line into my carotid artery, wheeled me into the ER. They said, all of your internal organs are shutting down. The doctor came and said, well, we lost you 3 times in the ER. He said, you need your wife here. At that moment, it was like shook. Probably 30 minutes to an hour, they sent a priest in to give me my last rites.
Oh, man.
Now that really got me. I didn't know what to do. I'm laying there in that bed with all these tubes and everything coming out of me and all the beep, 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 boop, boop, boop behind me. I heard this faint whisper in my ear, and I know it was my Father God. He said, I am not going to take you today, son. You have too much to do for my kingdom. I felt the warmth come over me, the peace come over me. God saved me for a reason.
Yeah.
And I'm here to say, never stop bragging on God.
And there's goes back to the slogan. Now I understand. Okay. You're like the real life version of these game characters. You just keep getting back up, you know?
But let me tell you something. I never heard the word finish him. I'm still acting. I'm still doing side projects. I've got stories. Being around all these people and having stories, and it fuels me, and it keeps me grounded. It keeps me in the game. It's neat that Mortal Kombat, 29 years into it, and we're doing this. I mean, what an honor it is for you to reach out to me and say, dude, give me your story. I mean, I've told it to people around me.
Yeah.
But for people to hear it now, I think it's going to bless them. There were times in New York where I would lay my head down in New York in my apartment, and I would go through my mind and say, did I make a difference today with anybody? Did I make somebody smile or laugh? If I could not think of anybody or no remembrance came to my mind, I would get up, get my clothes on, exit my apartment, go down to the deli and try to make a difference, make a smile, get a laugh, get a chuckle, get something. And then I went, that recharges my battery. And I said, now I can sleep, you know? So,
that's something similar with like, you know, music and stuff. Like, I think that's how when I tell people, like, that's how I know I'm not a producer necessarily. I'm sometimes a performer, but it's really the writing, you know, like I love like sitting at the piano and like making a new melody, the chords, you know, writing lyrics and stuff, because I can do that every day, even if I'm not getting paid, you know, like it refills.
I'm leaning in more. Do you know I got my degree in vocal performance?
No, that's awesome. Okay, well, yeah, now we got to make something together, you know?
I did music theater. I sang off Broadway. And so if you're a writer, maybe I might bring some of those things to life.
Yeah, let's do something.
Can you imagine that, dude?
Is there anything like you'd want to like highlight or show anybody, or because I think you have a reel up somewhere? Not yet.
Yeah, I do, but I don't want to talk about what I've recently done. You don't want to jinx something.
I get that, but we'll be keeping in touch.
I'm staying live on TikTok, man. If you guys haven't been to my TikTok channel, Ruffian20, RUFFIAN20. You need some giggles, you need some laughs, you need to be brought up, you need to be encouraged.
You were way more versed in TikTok than I am. I'm still trying to catch up.
People are saying, where is he at? I'm building a home right now. We close on the house tomorrow. This is a makeshift garage apartment that I'm living in. Next time when we do the deal, I'll be inside my new house and I'll be showing you everything. I will be doing like, here my crib, come on, let's check it out.
Well, maybe I can come visit at that point.
Oh,
I'm half vaccinated. As soon as I found out, I got the appointment for the second booster or whatever. I just booked all the flights. I asked the internet if they had any questions for you. So if you don't mind, I'll go through a few of those before we get the questions up to. There we go.
Hey, Mortal Kombat!
You just made the 12-year-old me like dream come true.
Did I give you goosebumps?
Yeah. A year ago, I did a video, and I'm just now editing it with two of my childhood friends that I actually hadn't kept in touch with in like 25 years. So I asked them first what they'd want to ask you. And my buddy Jason says, how does it feel to go down in history and remembered for yelling 2 words? And what is it like what was it like at the height of its popularity in the mid-90s to be the voice of the infamous Mortal Kombat scream? Or was it different because it wasn't really out in the public eye that you were the voice? How does it feel now that the internet's kind of discovering that's you?
Well, back then, I mean, saying 2 words was a big fat paycheck for me. So that was pretty cool. As far as what I felt like, didn't really know. Never knew that Mortal Kombat would become this big. Now that the internet is out, every piece of information is out there and it's alive again. I'm ecstatic.
This is more of I'm guessing a funny question. Like, who do you think you're screaming for? Was it a warning, an announcement? Was it for Sub-Zero?
It was a warning.
The youth are coming.
We are here.
Yep.
And I think it was a warning to the parents. Watch out, it's gonna be bloody.
Then my friend Jen asks, what was the prep? Did you practice from the mirror? Like an epic montage?
No.
Just
like I said, it was just a small gig. We're gonna just go and run and be crazy. And it's so funny, the director, was like, okay, let's try this. All right, well, let's try this. And we're thinking, okay, I'm here, let's do it. Let's shine. Didn't practice, didn't look in the mirror, didn't really know what I was doing. I'm being put on the spot. They're looking at me. I want to give them their money's worth. And 29 years later, here we go. I wish I was getting royalties off all this.
I was going to ask,
Negative.
How did that work?
Nope. Zero. Nada.
I'm guessing it's part of the contract that it was just like a buyout at the beginning.
It was a buyout. Yeah. I don't even know how much I made on that. I know I made more than the other guys that were running around because I was featured.
I don't even know if I'll put this in the video, but just between me and you, I've had this idea and I've been talking to some like legal friends about it and stuff because you're not getting royalties for that. There's other, I don't want to call them out. In that time period, they were work for hire. So even they were composing, credits went to other people. But now thanks to the internet, people are finding out. So I had this idea of like,
I think you're onto something.
You also answered this, but I want to give him a shout out. My buddy Andy, a voiceover actor, he asked what other phrases you're good at screaming.
The radio commercials that I did back in the late 80s. Do you remember the monster truck rally commercials?
Oh, yeah.
That was me.
Oh, really?
Monster trucks here at Hirsch Memorial Coliseum where you'll see Bigfoot battle Goliath. There you'll also see the fire-breathing dragon. Be there. You get a little bit of reverb in the studio and you can really beef that thing up. Monster trucks here at Hirsch Memorial Coliseum where you'll see Bigfoot battle Goliath. There you'll also see the fire-breathing dragon. Be there.
It just blown my mind because like that was like every Sunday.
That's right.
In between cartoons, I think my parents saw that and they were like, "We probably won't go to that thing with the fire and the trucks running over cars."
Right. I do character voices and stuff. I mean, I entertain the kids with Mater. Say, listen, we need to go out there and do some tractor tipping.
So do you do a lot of voice acting now?
I do some, yes.
Oh, that's awesome. Yes. Byron asks, what's your favorite fatality? Have you played any of the games since the 90s or?
I think I've maybe picked up one game. Okay. I remember the guy that ripped the head off and the spine was just dangling.
There's a lot of people ask the same questions, like how many times you had to yell it. Or I guess maybe did you have to do multiple takes?
Oh my gosh, yes. Back to one. That's what we heard from the director. And then by the end of that day, my gosh, I think I went to the Blarney Stone and had a couple of shots.
Yeah, it's like it was the beginning of my drinking problems. I had to rehydrate.
Yes, to help my throat.
Did they have you try other screams that weren't as guttural? Like, did you have to do variations, or was it always just like 1,000%?
Oh no. I think one of the first ones I did was Mortal Kombat. And then they just said, you have just been hit in the gut with every problem of the world. Let me hear what's happening inside your soul.
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat. And I think
Kendra asked, what would your fatality be?
What would my fatality be?
Yeah.
How do I answer that? I mean, if I was a character, I couldn't jump into that game.
It'd be like too like meta because
this phase of the world and this phase of the world, I'm trying to get in, but I can't. I couldn't do it.
So your fatality technically would be like breaking the universe because it's not supposed to coexist like that.
Absolutely.
Bryce asked, you kind of touched on this, maybe you can elaborate a little bit, what the casting call was like for this. I guess you said your agent hit you up about it. And then also like when you got the gig before showing up, did you know what you had signed up for?
No, like I said, it was one of my first gigs. I was happy to pay rent that month. You know, when they put those things out, they don't really tell you what it's for. I thought it was for a TV show or a cartoon or, something. Just went in and did it, man. I mean, when your agent says, you're booked, go.
Yeah.
You just go and then you show up. And seriously, what you see in the sides that your agent gives you, the director can change it on the fly.
Well, thanks so much for sharing your story. I can't wait to come visit you and follow up. And just for all the Mortal Kombat fans to finally put a face to the voice they've heard for decades now.
This is me, and take me or leave me.
And be sure to follow Kyle on TikTok. It'll be down below. And then I'm sure we'll have your other socials down there too.
Thank you, man. It's been an honor. Seriously, after 29 years, and this beast has awakened again.
Yeah.
Mortal Kombat!
There it is. That's going to be clipped out and put all over the internet. Thanks for watching. What you just saw was only about a third of the actual interview. If you'd like to see the entire thing, go check out the extended interview on my channel. Also on that channel, I had a conversation with some childhood friends I haven't spoken to in 25 years about a Mortal Kombat birthday party I had as a kid. You don't want to miss that. And I'd also like to thank all my amazing Patreon supporters on the screen right now, and especially Cal Harrington, Ray Price, A Band's Life, and NerdSync. If you'd like to learn more about supporting me on Patreon, check out the link in the description below. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day.